Look me up on Google, search the classics, you crazy bass. Pull me up and pull me down. It's a battle royale in the eye of the storm. Drowning in the shallows when the path is getting narrow. I'ma ride it out on this broken arrow. Fuck it. Pull me up.
Welcome to Unfiltered Idiots,
where we chat shit about real shit,
talk shit about those not giving a shit, wondering and complaining why they ain't got shit.
Here we are, ladies and gents, episode 16. Yeah, we switched it on you. We're not doing seasons anymore. We're just going to say what number we're on.
We're just going to keep going and going and going and going.
Episode 16, the 1-6.
So,
I don't have any good references for that.
So Wes
didn't think about that.
Decided to go with the 16 today just to confuse me, confuse you guys. We may be on season 1 still. We may be on season 2. But in any event, we're still here representing the Unfiltered Idiots. We were on a brief hiatus.
Yeah,
so I'm going to take a minute to...
Super busy.
Super busy, yeah. Crazy. But anyways, man, I am Kenny Knewell, born and raised in Aurora, Colorado. Have a couple of children, work in the property management field. And I am super excited to be back in the Unfiltered Idiots studio, talking to all of you guys.
Wes, aka Metro, 2 kids as well, also from Southeast Aurora, just like my boy Kenny. Personal trainer, for those who don't know. We, like I said, we always want to introduce ourselves each time. Same thing, man. We've both been just super busy. Summer's kind of rough. I mean, obviously, kids, you guys all out there that have kiddos understand that. Yeah. Sports starts, just different things. It's just a lot of pulling.
Yeah, and I want to take a minute too to kind of let you guys know that even though we may not be posting as much as we used to, we're still going to get that. Yeah, we're still going to get that content out there. But like Wes said, it's been crazy. My son's in football. You're in football. Yeah. And we have lives, right?
If you guys had subscribed more, then we could quit our job. I'm just kidding. I love what I do, but if we get more subscribers, come on, guys.
Yeah, we can quit our jobs, guys.
We can go grift a little bit more. And
should we start grifting?
I mean, maybe. Just kidding.
I don't know. I thought about it the other day.
Like we did it all on our own.
So it was like the other day. I think it was Tuesday, and it was like 5 a.m. I'm getting ready for work. 5 a.m, 6:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I think I should start grifting.
Yeah.
I really thought that I was going to go down that rabbit hole.
It's hard to not like see people like Ben Shapiro or some of these people like that, like Dave Rubin. You know, we see these people who we literally can look at, like do the research, go down their website, see who they get funded by, and it goes right to like Koch brothers. It goes right to, and I mean, there's people on the left that do the same thing. I'm just saying, like you can go through and find
all
out
of them, have this like
why they have 5 million subscribers is because they were like, Kenny, if we tell you to say X, you say it. And they're like, yes, sir. No problem, sir. So, and then they go, here's a bunch of advertising.
I want to introduce you guys to the new Unfiltered Idiots. Today, it's brought to you by...
Manscaped. No. Shave your balls.
No, actually, we're going to go down the QAnon. Sorry. Wes didn't know that we were now starting to jump on the QAnon conspiracy.
Yeah. We're full-blown.
That's what we're doing.
Q shirt.
Yeah, I couldn't even...
Reveal Q shirt.
It's so funny because I'm trying to do this on the fly and trying to think of something crazy, but it's so crazy that I can't even verbalize it.
You can't really, a lot of times it's something that, you can't write it. Like with the House of Cards, which is a great show. But when they made that show, Kevin Spacey and many of the writers, people came out and said, at the time they thought, oh man, are we making it too crazy, and then obviously the last 5 years they saw it. They're like,
it wasn't crazy enough.
Yeah, they're like, we could have just started shooting people in the street.
Yeah, but we're just joking, guys. Again, really. The purpose of this podcast, the reason why we got together over a year ago to make these videos for you and this podcast for you is really to kind of not only voice our opinion about what's going on in the world, in the United States, but really to try to get the truth out there. Now, if we're talking to 1 or 2 people or 3 or 4 people are listening to our podcast and really understanding that there are some messed up things out there going on and they're getting some truth from us, that's really why we do it, and that's why we continue to do it.
We're going to try to, like we say all the time, we're going to try to stay honest and just try to...
That's all we can do, man.
Do it the right way, and obviously, try to grow it. We're going to start getting ready to start advertising, all that kind of stuff. As we've told you guys before, every time we try to make an ad, they
talk about... I don't think that we've really talked about what happened with our commercial since we filmed.
Every
last.
time we try to make any kind of ad, just because we're saying anything to do, even though we're
I said insurrection.
Fully
you
blown,
guys,
saying that this is our views on it. We are providing sources. We are providing videos of the things that we show that are happening.
Yeah.
But in our ad, they like immediately shut us down. I mean, just immediately like, oh, you can't do that. You can't advertise for this. It's just pretty wild how, the global conglomerate of these companies can have so much power. And I mean, and this is where many people, whether they're right, left, which again, we try to argue that there's no divide there. I mean, there is a little bit, but like it's top bottom. But again, the point is, no matter what the, I guess like podcasters trying to get out, no matter what it is, this is an area where we all probably pretty much agree, I would say, is that they're trying to only get out the mainstream media information out there, and they'll run with every story that they want them to run with,
right?
And
so
we don't.
So naturally, with the podcast that you're first starting out with, you obviously want to grow your followers organically, right? But we were trying to actually step it up a notch and make a commercial and put it out there for the powers that be, but it was like it didn't even get past anything. It was just like, no,
even Facebook ads.
Facebook, they were like, no, you can't do it. Which I think that like it's BS because I was joking when I said insurrection.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it was clearly
you guys,
obvious.
Yeah, go on our social medias and you'll see the commercial. I posted it there. We can have it posted.
Which is weird, but you can't pay to have it advertised. But I can post it on. Anyway, it's interesting that they have that kind of power, and you kind of see what just happened the other day with that girl that was testifying about Facebook and saying how in 2018 they literally changed their algorithm to drum up, to literally drum up hate and to because they knew people were sharing that kind of stuff more.
And then, so after that, Facebook a few days later experienced one of their worst outages, if not their worst outages since the history of Facebook. It's just kind of weird because I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist now, and I like going down those rabbit holes. As you guys know from the previous podcast, I'm reading a lot of books. I just finished Peril. Now I'm reading Fear. By Bob Woodward. So I just think it's crazy that came out and Facebook goes dark.
I mean,
for an entire day.
I'm kind of the same way where, again, I try to think everything is Occam's razor, right? I try to go down the path of saying, hey, just trust, what the initial, what you see with it, right? Like the initial story, all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, I wish that was the case, that was more often than not, yes, it will be, but that is not always really what's going on. And we see, from that very standpoint that Facebook, who knows why that happened? Did they do that to
we will never know why
make sure people were talking about the whole testifying?
Right.
I mean,
and like I told a couple of people that I work with,
I don't know if I believe in random.
Ever know why that happened. Only Facebook knows why that happened. And what's kind of crazy, I think that us. It was really nice not to have Facebook that day. Now, did I keep going back?
Busy that day, so
did I keep going back to the app? Like it's just second nature. It's disgusting. Like I felt disgusted with myself because I kept clicking on it, and it's just like second nature to do that. But to have it down and be able to focus on what I was doing that day,
I didn't even know for a few hours because I had climbed like back to back to back. Like it was pretty busy.
It was. But and then on the
I was like, what?
On the other side of the spectrum, again, there's people that run their businesses via Facebook. There's people that communicate with loved ones via Facebook. There's people that are actually doing the right thing and quarantining and aren't able to talk to their family, so they use that platform and these platforms to speak to their family. It's just crazy, but it is what it is. It's Facebook. Facebook is a big problem.
Yeah,
it is a big issue that we have, and we'll just figure that out.
Yeah. And sorry, we got a emergency vehicle going right by my house, and these dogs are going crazy for it.
And
it's all
we
unfiltered.
we are unfiltered. Yes.
But I do think that there is obviously something to read into that when it comes to these things happening, because there's, and again, we want to stay on point here, but to tangent for 1 second, that that 9/11 documentary that just came out, with like that 5-part series, that thing was amazing at going down literally using a timeline,
That was
literally on the screen,
well put together
showing
documentary.
you that, and it shows you, to go back to the Facebook thing, like how these things end up being really orchestrated at the highest levels. And that's exactly why, is because while everybody is going, oh my God, can you believe that Facebook is doing, Facebook shuts down, and everyone's going, well, wait a minute. Right. And it's almost like that, right? Like, take it away from you type of thing. Like, you're the girl that doesn't want you, whatever, the significant other person that doesn't want you anymore. And you're like, no, wait, come back. That was
because everybody will sit there. It's funny, though, because I have all these friends, these friends that are on Facebook, and they said, oh, I hate Facebook. I can't stand Facebook.
But every
other day they're posting on Facebook with their bullshit and their lies, right? But as soon as it goes down, you know what I mean?
Like, this is bullshit, man. I can't post.
I can't look at, or they'll flip the script and they're like, it's something bigger. It's Facebook doing something to infiltrate our lives or something. I'm like, why do you?
No, I think it was kind of like, but yes.
But do you know what I mean? Though it's like they hate Facebook, but they use Facebook. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
And I think like the bigger I guess takeaway in a sense is that you have so many different mindsets as to like why it was happening.
Yeah.
But yet really the reality might have just been that you literally might the reality was probably that they had something go wrong, some major like hacker whatever.
Right.
But like in the event that they orchestrated that, it was something that they would have, never probably, like I said, we'll never know.
Yeah, so. We'll never know.
And they wanted it to be where we were like, oh my God, like I said, like.
Yeah, we can keep going down tangents with this. Again, you guys were totally unfiltered. You probably hear the dogs upstairs. They'll probably calm down in a second. But yeah, let's get into something else. You were talking to me earlier kind of about the abortion things. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
So the abortion ban. So like the courts just basically upheld the heartbeat bill.
Talk to me a little about that, because I've been kind of unplugged lately.
Basically, it's at 12 weeks, and even that bill is insane. So at 12 weeks, abortions aren't allowed. There's also there's nothing in there protecting you from incest, rape, even by like family members, anything like that, which unfortunately is something that is a problem.
Right.
And a lot of times, people just don't think about that type of reasoning.
Yeah.
But that bill does not give them that protection. So in other words, if they're rape, incest, anything like that,
so
they still aren't allowed
if they're
to get
rape or there's incest, they just have to take care of the kid.
Yeah, if it's 12 weeks or later, no matter what, they have to carry that child. And then the other problem with it as well was there was another caveat in there that anybody, like you, me, or anybody, could literally be like a bounty hunter and go after, like, not only if a doctor performs an abortion, anybody can like try to sue that practice.
Sure.
Which so there's a really funny story that in a funny, not necessarily but kind of funny, ironic, that some people on the left went after because of the bill, were able to use it against another clinic, like another practice.
Yeah.
And my dog's crazy.
Hold on 1 second, guys. We'll be right back, guys. Okay, so
sorry about
that,
my puppy
guys.
was blinding. I have a new puppy that I thought we could put her somewhere, and of course, she's just sitting now.
Now she's just chilling. She's
we should
cute.
have done that from the very beginning.
I think that we're gonna have a thumbnail.
Yeah, we'll do a picture with little Xena.
I think it's totally
Xena,
cool,
the warrior
like,
princess.
Yeah. Like we said, guys, it's totally unfiltered.
Yeah.
We were gonna stop that one because we could tell that she was about to. Have
Normally
fit.
in fact, we never like cut, but that was just something that would have been a problem.
We knew.
I could walk off the camera and then just like slide out and be like, see ya. But no, so yeah, the bill itself is, pretty alarming, and it's not just Texas. There's several other states that are basically trying to put it through their legislative process as well. And at the end of the day, that's something that Roe v. Wade was hashed out a long time ago. That these are not heartbeats. That's why, for example, I believe Colorado's at 25 weeks. It's something like that, and that's an area where I am more like, okay, yes, I think that's a difference. It's still somebody else's body. I'm not trying to control anybody's body.
Right.
Funny, the people that claim that they're about personal freedoms are the ones trying to take away somebody's freedom. However, I think that, that at some point, if somebody's at that point in time carrying to week 25, 26, it's likely that, right, they were trying to have a child. So if there's a reason for an abortion, it's usually... like we had a friend recently, not to put using names, but that lost their child at 29 weeks, and so
dang.
and it had to be done, and it was in a state that did not allow past it, like a red state, and very sad that was what happened.
Yeah.
But there's not this rampant running of women who are carrying to they're into their third trimester, their belly's popping out, their baby's starting to move, it's got lungs, it's got arms, they're not carrying them going, you know what, F this, I want to go get it. That's just not happening.
Well, here's where my problem
is. And that's where they're playing these games.
Here's where I have
babies out of stomachs.
The issue with is all of these politicians that are doing this are only playing to these religious groups.
Yeah.
They don't really, in my mind, really care. Right? Yeah. That much. It's all about playing to the base, and that's what really pisses me off lately is all of these decisions, these major decisions that are being made, voter rights, women's rights, are all based off a certain voter in these red states, right? So I think that the Republican Party has, backed themselves into such a hole that now they have to make these drastic decisions in laws because now they've let the crazies run the party, right? Yeah. So now they have to make all these crazy, enact all these crazy laws that just make absolutely no sense.
And they're taking some of personal freedoms. I mean, there's just no other way that you can
talk about freedoms, right?
Try to argue that. There's absolutely no other way that the idea of having freedom is your personal freedom.
Yeah, and this is
for me to be if I want to I don't know, if I want to walk around my house with bananas on my head. I mean, whatever the hell, stupid, whatever. That's my personal choices.
Yeah.
If I want to get a tattoo, that's my personal choices. But to go and say you're going to control me from being able to get that, and we've always had this problem. And it's usually the conservative side of things, right? So when we talk about the crazies running that party, the problem with the Democratic Party is exactly like the Joe Manchins and the Kirsten Sinema. They're and the Republicans have that problem too.
Sure.
So it's they kind of have problems on both sides.
Yeah.
And the Democrats' main problem is that one. And we have some crazies, but again, the people on our side, on the side that perceivable side, whatever, what that people oh, they're crazy. It's we've talked about this before, but it's they're comparing, somebody who's hey, I don't like that, and again, we don't agree with that either, but I don't like that Dave Chappelle made a transphobic joke on it's comedy. Mm-hmm. And the vast majority of people go, yeah, the very outliner of
but
that.
It's that's true though. We are being conditioned to be so just comedy.
Yeah.
I get it.
And that's why I said that.
Please understand that we are for transgender rights, right?
Yeah,
we are for that. That's not the angle that we're trying to portray here. That we're not. It's that we're getting so soft, and everybody Like, and
but that's what they'll claim is like the crazies on the, like they're conflating that with people who are literally gunning people down, and it's like, listen, I agree with you too. The persons that are losing their mind about whether Dave Chappelle or Trevor Noah or Bill Burr or whoever, right, like makes a joke that doesn't make everybody happy. That's kind of the idea of comedy. It's supposed to be a little poke in the side of people, and you're supposed to make jokes about stuff, but that's not the same as somebody going, hey, I think Dave Chappelle should, have to apologize, versus somebody's like, oh, I'm going to go gun some people down in a Walmart because they're brown or black skin.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I
I
think that Dave Chappelle was actually testing the waters to see if he was going to get canceled, because he was like, actually talking about this before, like, we are so sensitive and conditioned to be so sensitive nowadays. And again, like, I get it. It's what he said was probably inappropriate. I haven't watched it. But at a level of, comedy back in the day, like for us, right? It was like when good comedians were out there, it was like brutal, right? Yeah. Like, and we were just like, that's funny.
Look at like some of the to me, you got like Richard Pryor, George Carlin. Those are like the two guys. To me, that's like the, I think the argument of Brady is number one, but we'll use a different argument. Maybe we'll find one in sports, but maybe it's like the argument of like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, because that is an argument. That's probably a good sports comparison. Yeah. With these sports analogies. But point is that those two guys to me.
Don't forget to watch our sports edition after this. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. George Carlin and Richard Pryor, to me, I have those two guys, like, you're splitting hairs, right? Yeah. But look at like what they felt was controversial at that time, and don't get me wrong, they were very good at what they did, and really dragging that line of going, hey, listen, making people see by walking them into these corners. And a lot of the really great comedians are. We saw Trevor Noah the other night down in the Springs, and he's always been good at that too, where like I can see where he's going with it, because when you read and you research and you kind of have a brain that thinks past the initial part of something, you can see that he's walking several people in this auditorium down a path. Sure. And then they don't realize that they're in a corner until he literally uses the punchline, tying it back into COVID. Yeah. And you're like, got half these people in here who thought he was making fun of this side and really he's making fun of that side.
And I think that the moral of the story of what we're talking about is, I think government has been inserted into our lives a little bit too much as of late. Yeah. And I think that it's all been about just what's been going on, right? And these congresswomen and men trying to keep their power, so they're inserting all this crazy madness. It's just that simple to me.
It is.
It really is.
And that's why I say, when you do the research and when you see all the different games that are being played, like Joe Manchin the other day never sits behind, in that spot of Chuck Schumer, and he's putting his hands on his head. And he was doing it in a time that, like, if you literally watch what he was saying, you can see that Joe Manchin was plotting that the entire time. And then some guy next to him was, like, talking to him, and it, like, messed up Joe's timing. And it, like, when he did it, it made zero sense for the video. Yeah. But he knew it was going to get attention
and the views.
And the mainstream media ran with it.
Oh, they loved it. They ate it up. Just like, even though it was mistimed.
Drastically.
He knew exactly what he was going to do. He knew that he was going to be talked about all night because
he sat in that seat to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the theatrics of it, again, like you said, with the tying it back into kind of the abortion thing, that's really what this is. It's about people trying to use their, like we talked about before, their religion to legislate laws. Right. I am not okay with that. Yeah. If like I've said before, I've said it publicly on I've written this before. If my religion says I'm allowed to just walk up and slap somebody in the face, does that mean I should be able to get legislated laws that allow me to do that? Yeah. Absolutely not. So we got to stop allowing one religion or whatever, like,
stop allowing it, guys. Yeah. And stop letting
the separation of church and state is what you guys want.
I feel like
if not, we're gonna tax your church.
Exactly.
25%.
Please. Oh, that's another podcast, because that's an entire 40-minute.
You don't want separation of church and state. We're gonna start taxing you.
Exactly. And
Tax
I
that
bet
ass.
you damn well these churches will start shaping up a little bit once we
Yeah,
start
because they make
taking some
19 to
money.
1 return on their investment. So anybody that thinks it's like,
that is
why the pastor gotta have the nice car? Why the pastor? Yeah.
You know what? Holy crap! Light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Maybe we should.
Because they make a lot of money.
Maybe we should start an Unfiltered Idiots Church.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. We must start grifting down that lane. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you know,
I think we
like Kenneth Copeland
I
and
think we'd
blowing
be
away
good
COVID,
pastors,
and
yeah.
I'm stepping on the throat of COVID at 12:17 on this time. Like, and people donate to these people, and I'm just sitting there going,
God.
like if Jesus came back, let's assume that whole story is for the sake.
Well,
of it.
it's like when
Let's
they're
assume that was a true
they're
story.
they're in church, right? They're in
Yeah.
church, and 5 minutes was about Jesus.
Yeah.
The rest of it was political.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
And
it's,
if he
it's
was
crazy
to
me.
come back again, let's assume that for the sake of the
Hallelujah.
that it was all a true story, right? He Jesus himself. I went to church for 13 years. I can tell you right now, I read a lot of these pastors. I put them on social media because people just say shit that they're completely not true. And you can look them up in the Bible. I mean and guess what? Then they go like he would be appalled.
He'd be like, what?
He'd be like, wait a minute, this
That-
clown is talking about he needs a $52 million jet. The other day, the thing he was doing the other day was insane. I was just like, dude, I can't even. I watch it.
I
and
need
go,
a $52
That was
million
a few years
check
ago, but
just to
to be able to
spread the gospel.
spread the gospel.
Yeah.
And I see these people and I go, how are folks not, seeing through that?
Well, there's a certain aspect of wanting to belong to something as well, and I think that people need to do a lot more research on that because it's more common now. You see it more than ever that people are just wanting to be accepted or involved with something or a group or whatever.
And it is important. You know what I mean?
And
But
I think it's very important. I think it's
choose your groups
important.
wisely.
I think it's important that because you have conservative friends, right? I have
100%.
really conservative.
I'm conservative
friends,
in
right?
certain aspects. It depends on what we're
Right.
talking about.
Well, obviously, both of us
Yeah.
are
Everybody is. I think every
you know,
single person across this planet
progressives.
is progressive, conservative, libertarian,
Yeah.
socialist. Like, it depends on what you're talking about.
Well,
they all love to drive on the socialized roads. They all love the socialized military.
The thing that
the
pisses
socialized
me
schools,
off,
right?
the thing that makes me mad is one of my friends, Ryan. Hi, Ryan. He puts me in this box of a Democrat because I won't go latch onto Trump's hitch. Because that's what you do nowadays. You latch onto his hitch if you're a Republican.
I mean, I've had my own family member, a family member tell me that, oh, you need to pick a side, Wesley, and I'm like, no, that's the problem. That is the problem
Why
that
do
we
I
have in this country.
Why do I have to be a Republican or a Democrat?
Yeah,
Why
that's
do I?
the problem
Someone,
that we
you know
have.
what? In the comments below, please let us know
Yeah.
why the hell we have to be a Republican or a Democrat.
Because they
both of
brainwash
them are
people to
goddamn
believe
crazy.
that that's the case,
You know
that
what
you
I mean?
have to choose.
Yeah.
I've been registered independent my entire life. I've never registered to one party, and I don't get why people. I mean, I do because, like I said, they brainwash them to do that. But we as a society are hitting points. We're seeing this. We're seeing around the world too. We're seeing violence. I mean, just it's ramping up, and it's not. Everyone's like, oh well, this murder rate might have right, like because of like technology and stuff like that. People are being caught. You're not. You know what I mean? Like you're not seeing serial killers, yada yada. Right? We can go down like a different path there. But my point is that because of technology, it is helping with crimes being stopped or maybe somebody not going on a full-blown crime spree. But what we are seeing rise across the world, I mean, this is 100% verifiable. I mean, the FBI even said over 5 years we had an 85% increase on domestic terrorism, and they were all like social issues, you know what I mean? Like from, whether it was race, political, right? We're seeing that increase, like really badly. And that's going to lead, which it has been, to like more murders.
Yeah.
And then it's going to lead into like mass murdering.
So, I really want to like take a moment to, kind of talk about something personal that's been kind of weighing heavy on my mind recently, and it has to do a lot with my race, right? My race, me being an African American male, and to see and actually, I'm well researched, right? to see and be scared of people that are going into office, on the right, and to understand that if they take over not only Congress, or if they, take over Congress and the White House again, it's gonna be crazy. The United States of America is going to look a lot different because they pushed the envelope so far forward, and they're like, okay, now we have the game plan. So I don't know what the United States will look like for me. But good thing, the thing that really helps me out a lot is to know that I have really, 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 really good white friends that will do the right thing and help advocate for crazy.
There's more of us like coming up.
Yeah.
As far as like that are of the mindset that's like, this, we've talked about this before. Like, I have an education that's like, I can tell you for a fact, there's nothing in your genomes that shows your race. So this is just skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, it's about where people started and their ancestors were at, and whether they're exposed to more sun. I mean, this is just how it works. And there's people that see that and go, there's nothing different between Kenny, me, my boy Dominic, who's Native American, my boy Jerry, who's Hispanic. Like, I mean, there's nothing. My Avinash, like Indian, like I got a bunch of little Indian dudes and girls.
It really does keep me going to know that you guys would have my back. That would get out there and really make things happen if things got too crazy. That's the thing that keeps me going.
The younger generation is way more, to their credit, is way more accepting. And again, it's because it's what's been taught.
And you're absolutely right. And it's crazy though too, because even, when we were growing up, we were never taught to see color. But these are the same people I'm battling today. Yeah. Like, these are the same people that, I went to their homes. Like, when I was little, they fed me. I played in their backyards. And now these are the people that I don't know if they're okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I don't know if they're okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's several people I went to school with, like, but I also know, and I've expressed this before, my stepdad, I mean, for the 5-ish years, 4.5, 5-ish years I was around him, on top of many other horrific things that he was doing, and my mom kind of allowing it / even kind of doing it as well. Mm-hmm. But I mean, boy, I heard every possible homophobic, racial, I mean, and it was just, to him, it was that, that's what he was going to just say. And my father was like the polar opposite. It was like, never heard that, you know what I mean? And so you see something that, like, you're taught something even from the age of 7-ish, 8-ish until about 13. And I had to, like, literally in my own head go, whoa, why was he saying that? Because you knew it was wrong, but you also were like, that is very hard, for kids to unlearn, even though I knew it was wrong. But when someone sits there and tells you 2 + 2 is 5, 2 + 2 is 5, you're going to pick that up, and you're going to have to go, wait a minute, that ain't right.
Yeah, and there's this guy that I follow on Facebook or Instagram as well. His name is Jolly something. I'll have it in the description. And he was raised that way. Like, his family was racist. He was taught racism.
Nobody's
but
born that way.
He's the guy that's doing more than I am as an African American for African Americans. He's out there protesting. He's out there fighting for equal rights, women's rights, everything. So I know us as a nation, as the United States of America, I know no matter what is happening in Congress or in the White House, us people are going to be okay. And that's what keeps me going, guys, because it's scary for me to think. It's scary for me to think if those two things happen, the Republicans get back in the White House and the Republicans take over Congress again, all at one time.
And not necessarily even just like because there's Democrats too that absolutely are have race issues. That have, look at Biden, like, a lot of them didn't even accept gay marriage until not that long ago. Obama was his second term.
Didn't I talk to you like that?
Yeah.
About that?
Yeah.
I might have not spoken to you about that, but I was so taken aback to see in 2008 Obama and Biden both say they don't accept it. I didn't know that.
It was his second term.
I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah, it was
right?
It was the second term where they both... And, like, but that's what happens when we push right, for equality.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when I tell people why we're pushing for that, you know, across the spectrum, right? Because that's what will ultimately force, you know, folks who were raised to think one way to have to change, or like the dinosaurs, right? You're gonna die off.
Yeah.
And the more of those people that are, you know, every day passing away, and every day there's somebody, you know, I mean, not every second, it's just right? Like the ones that being born, I have a far more, almost guarantee the percentage on those that are going to be taught about equality are going to be way, you know, in the 75, 80 percentile, whereas, you know, up 50, 60, 70 years ago, it was flipped that.
Yeah, and it's
and
it's just sad, you know, kind of, you know, who are we to judge any other human being, right? We're all human beings, just like you said. Yeah. Just like you said.
From the appearance,
our genetic makeup is human, right? Like we are all the same.
One race.
There's one race. That, You always say that.
A human race.
You say that all the time, and I just don't, you know, whatever. I mean, we can go down.
It's hard to like unlearn that, because even myself, like at times you go, and you see me post that all the time. I'm always writing like hashtag one race, hashtag human race, stuff like that, because I am trying to not only myself, right, because it's always about internally first, but also friends, family, whomever. I'm trying to get them to also recognize that they're like, whoa, wait a minute, we are all human. So why are we allowing, and you know, we continue to see where the real divide is. I mean, those Pandora papers that came out, not the tangent, but like talking about the divide. Here we see all these papers that like somebody hacked in, got all these bank records that they've got money stashed in all these vaults all around the world. They're not paying taxes on. There's your divide once again, and they get it to be this divide, and it's always been up here and up here.
Well, then so another thing, and I think I was talking to my mom about this the other day, and it's just like, okay, so every commercial that I see now has like 4 or 5 black people in it, right? And then I was watching one of my shows when I was younger. I think it was called Wonder Years. Wonder Years, and now the guy, the reboot is a black guy. Come on, guys! Like now I understand why, you know, other white people are sick of it. It's like fire hose down your throat. It's not genuine to me. It's not genuine to me at all.
It's a good thing to like start doing it, because it's like it needs to be where it is happening in that regard.
It does need to happen.
Like you said,
the needle needs to be.
These companies aren't doing it because the top brass of the company actually really gives a shit.
They don't.
Including
they're like, okay.
The BLMs that like
when we're casting for commercials, they're like, we're missing one black person. We only had 3. We need 4. That's what, you know what I mean.
And the reality is like,
but they'll never say that. That's
the reality is like select the best people. Right. And like, and we'll talk about some of this a little bit because it's a sports reference. I want to talk about it on the sports side of the podcast, but like, it's the same thing there, right? And we'll talk about it in that, but just select the best qualified, right? And the problem is that, and it still is, that it was way worse a long time, obviously, the further you go back. But the problem, you know, was, and like I said, still is a little bit, is that they were selecting people based upon, you know, being white, for example, and they're selecting, and that was it. They're like, and there was tropes left and right. I mean, again, we'll talk about this on the sports cast, but, you know, John Gruden just had something come up, and I was literally watching on the Bears a Facebook group, just the different, like, we'll talk about it on the sports team, but just the difference of like who was posting when somebody wrote about something like that, and like I didn't have to look at the person's picture when I saw what their comment was, and I would click on it, and of course there's something about vaccines or bullshit. Like it was just like the same fucking person who has a problem with like, and you know, and now John Gruden trying to say like, oh, I was just talking about how he was a liar. No, dude, you said he had. You
said what he said, dude.
You said what you said.
Like, I would have more respect for you because everyone knows that I'm a John Gruden coach. I messed up. Like that was 10 years ago. It was unacceptable. Like let's call it for what it is.
And say it was absolutely a racial trope. Is it full-blown racism? I think there's a line there. No, not necessarily.
At the end, you have
but
to...
you
have to understand who he is as well.
Yeah.
It's just like it's John Gruden. He kind of
like
pops
you said,
off at the mouth.
You would respect it if somebody said, like you said,
just tell the
hey,
truth, dude.
just
I
say,
messed
I
up.
said something.
I messed up.
It absolutely had racial condemnation to it. And again, was it him running down the street with a neo-Nazi symbol and hollering the N-word?
The Raiders aren't firing
No.
John Gruden, the $100 million coach.
No,
they're not going to do that.
Just like there's levels to murder, there's levels to like. Doesn't mean that it wasn't racist, like I said, had racial condemnation, like. But there's definitely levels to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, if that email was like these people are like whoa, like right, we'd all go like whoa, like because he could have went completely crazy, and and right now he'd be with a box on TV with all of his little accolades, like I don't know what I did wrong, but but then he tries to come out and say, oh, I was just talking about that he's a liar. It's like, dude, if I'm talking about something, like let's again use your logic, everyone. Stop listening to this bullshit, excuses, because they're just lies. That's all they are. Mm-hmm. If I think Kenny's a liar, and I'm emailing somebody, I'm gonna go, dude, that dude's got oh, he's just got a big mouth, dude. He lies about everything, right? I'm not going to say, oh, he's got this. It's like a racial trope, right? And there's a absolute line there. And anybody who says there's not, I think you're full of shit, and I'll tell you that to your fucking face, because I'm sick and tired of like playing this little games like, oh, he just said he had tires, the lips the size of Michelin tires. I wonder why he chose Michelin tires. Like, stop. We know exactly what he was trying to allude to. Yeah. And like I said, if somebody's a liar, I write, oh, I think Kenny's just a liar. He's got a big mouth.
Right.
Like a big mouth.
Right.
You don't say the lips the size. That's bullshit.
Right.
And we know that.
Well,
and it's frustrating.
It's frustrating. It doesn't make sense. Tell the truth. That's all we ask.
Just be honest. You screwed up.
You screwed up.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it happens to the best of us. We've all done something or said something, and whether it was like in a fit of anger, a fit of passion, frustration,
and it's okay. You're
called
human.
a woman out of her
You're
name.
human.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Called just a lot of things that people have done that like we all regret saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We've all said that. We've all said things we wish we didn't say.
And instead of just saying like, especially when like it's so obvious, like we have it in writing. Like anymore, it's like we have these things in writing and on video, and it's like their fucking egos and their belief in like their power,
or these PR trains
power,
too. These PR
right? Yeah, they get a bunch of little dipshits in a room, and they're like, "Listen, John, I think if you just keep saying this, we just say this over and over and over and over and over.
This go away, John.
Yeah, we just make this go away, John, and
it's only going to be $150,000, but we can make this go away.
We can make this go away, and we'll just run an ad campaign with you, like
I know. Okay, yeah.
With
next
you with
thing
like
we're
the
going to see
Michelin
is John.
Man and shit, like selling tires. Like
that's the next thing we're going to see.
If we see that, I want royalties for that.
Yeah.
But no, and that's like you said. That's where and again, I know we're tangent for a reason, because we're trying to show you guys that like how blatantly obvious this is, that this is the game that they play.
Right.
From politics to social issues, and this is the games that they play. And I saw it with my own eyes. People literally like defending this on Facebook, like just going like, "Oh, what's the big deal?" He said, and then somebody said like, "Oh, if he said Mick Jagger had lips like the size of a," I was like, "No, because he wouldn't have said that, because it was a racial trope."
Because it was,
it wasn't. He
that's simple.
Yeah, he didn't say like
simple.
and yes, if a black man, dark skinned person of color, whatever, was messaging another person of color, and they were angry about me and the power I have as the, I don't know, like same thing, right? Like the NFLPA guy, and I had, large lips, but that was a trope about white people, and they said, oh, he has lips the size of, marshmallows, like something white. Nobody would go, oh, he was just saying he's a liar. Like, they go, no, you're making a racial trope on, like, a white guy's, like, lips. Or if they, what I mean? We all know what these things are. We all know, like, how these things have been, taught to kids. They've been said in front of kids. Like I said, my stepdad, there'd be times I'd be driving down the street with him, or just crazy stuff. Like, I'd be, like, just little 12-year-old kid driving down the street and he'd like say something about some brown person. Oh, look at those two guys. They look like a bunch of Fs. And
but
like,
let's
like, holy cow.
But you have raised 2 amazing children, right?
And same with you. Yeah.
And I appreciate that. You have done the right thing. If anybody knows your children are my children, they know, you know, they're going to be respectful. They're going to say thank you, whatever. So I think it's all attributed to how we move forward because you saw those things, dude. You could have continued
100%.
to go down
1,000
that.
kids that see what I saw probably would be right there defending John Gruden.
Right.
I mean, or what I meant to say was like out of 1,000 kids that probably went through what I went through. I mean, I just know the numbers on this. I know statistics on this. You know me. I love numbers.
Sure.
I'm like one of those people that think like the numbers don't lie. I'm not saying you can't conflate them, but point is, I know the numbers on this type of stuff, and they're well into the mid to upper 80s typically. Mm-hmm. You have a kid who's abused, sees their mom being abused. You have kids that watch alcoholism. They watch racial, homophobic. I mean, it was just, you check, it was like every one of those boxes were what happened. And for me to like turn around and go, okay, I'm not going to beat women. I'm not going to beat my kids. I'm not going to be a racist. I'm not going to be a homophobic, right? Like, and have to literally unlearn those things that are like during a crucial time of my memory. You know,
exactly.
Like,
and there's so many levels to this. Yeah, there's so many levels to this. But anyways, guys, this is gonna be our episode.
Yeah.
I can't. What did he say? What did he? 16. This is. I love it. I love the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, reach out to us. Yeah. Email us.
Yeah, man. If you guys want to come on, we'll have we can have some guests on here. Make sure to like share, like, subscribe. Share,
please.
The more that we can have,
even if you don't like us, share it.
Yeah. If you don't like us, you should share us with your friend that's how much you hate us.
No. You guys can talk about us.
Hey, bad press is press. No. But the reason being, guys, is because we cannot let the Candace Owens and the Ben Shapiros and the Ray Rubins, that's what I call them, Dave Rubin. We can't let them take over these airways when we literally can prove that they're being backed by the Koch brothers, they're being funded that way, they're being advertised that way. They have all kinds. I mean, $5 million of advertising just thrown at them, so they can grow.
Yeah.
And if we let them take over these, maybe the last somewhat independent media airways that we might ever have, at least in my foresight that I can see, we're going to have a major problem because you have people that are just blatantly, easily disproving, easily to be disproved, lying out of their teeth. So please share.
And if you guys don't, we're gonna have to start grifting.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start grifting and making up lies. No, and we'll make up lies about you.
Have you manscaped? Here's Manscaped.
We'll make up lies about you. How about that?
Anyways, follow us on Twitter at UFidiots and on Instagram at Unfiltered_idiots IG. And you can
all the podcasts.
Anchor, Spotify, Apple, all of that stuff. You can also email me at knewell at unfilteredidiots.com and Metro at unfilteredidiots.com
as well.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Great conversation. Let us know, guys. We're going to keep this going. Thank you guys for bearing with us as we took our little hiatus. We're going to keep pumping out content, great content. We want suggestions, ideas, all that good stuff, and Wes's brand new puppy is going to be our thumbnail for this.
She'll be the little picture of it.
We're gonna get more. I know that's gonna work.
Yeah, that's gonna be our grift. Is using puppies. It probably will work.
Puppies.
What if I'm randomly going down?
Oh yeah, you got a baby too.
I got a grandpa. I'll just bring him in hey. But thank you guys so much, man. Yeah. Peace. We out. We love you guys. Check our sports on Unfiltered Idiot Sports Edition. Coming up.
Sports Edition.
Peace out.
Thanks, guys.
Looky, look me up on Google, search the classics, he crazy bass. Hold me up and pull me down. It's a battle royale in the eye of the storm. Drowning in the shallows when the path is getting narrow. I'ma ride it out on this broken arrow. Fuck it.